US30 technical analysis, and we're on the daily chart. And just to recap, the last time we spoke about this particular chart, we had mentioned that the market, if you were to actually look at this area over here, had given us what is an inverted head and shoulders pattern, as you guys can see. And you know that that's the left shoulder, that's the head, and this is the right hand shoulder. And this structure actually has a neckline more or less at that point. And also we mentioned that because the structure started at this point, ideally we want to see price continue to move further up to around that level to close in line with where it had started, right? But let's see where price is currently. Let's just zoom in. So what do we see in regards to the daily chart of US30? What I see at this point is that the market had given us what is a double bottom over here, and we saw price actually breaking above the neckline and then coming back to the neckline to give it a test. And at this point over here is where we should have looked for those potential buy opportunities, especially if that neckline aligns, as I always say, with key numbers that we have on the Fibonacci retracement tool, as the anticipation was for the market to move further up and actually complete this very nice double bottom over here. However, what we saw happen is that we saw price at this level giving us what is a double top and then pushing further down to around this level over here, which is a very strong level of support, as you guys can see. And it was also the neckline of a double bottom we have over there. But don't confuse this double bottom with this one over here, guys. So at this point in time, the question becomes, why the price from this level actually move all the way down to that level, right? Number one is because it gave us a double top here and it just needed to complete that double top. And number two is that because we had this double bottom of here, remember what happens a lot of the time with double bottoms is that a lot of traders and investors buy on that second leg and they place their stop losses just below, right? So this whole move over here to this point was a stop hunt, right? It was a stop hunt because we had, as I said, a lot of liquidity here in the form of stop losses, and price needed to come down to grab those stop losses. And what's likely to happen next is that the market is likely to push further up, right? Why do I say so? Remember, guys, we had this M structure, and just like with W formations or double bottoms, what normally happens is that traders and investors sell on the second leg and they place their stop losses just above. So we have a lot of money stuck here. Similarly, we also had this very nice double top, and again, a lot of traders and investors sold at this point, placing their stop losses just above. So we have these two areas that are carrying a lot of liquidity in the form of stop losses. And as I always say, guys, these liquidity points are money, and chances are we're gonna see price from this level move up to grab all the money at this point, and then move up again to grab the money at that level, right? As well as to complete that huge, if I can just zoom out again, as well as to complete this huge structure that I spoke about, which is an inverted head and shoulders pattern, right? If I can just draw it, just bear with me. Let's see, this huge inverted head and shoulders pattern, right? So there is plenty of scope for price to continue to move further up to complete that structure, right? Another thing that I also want to bring to your attention is that the market had given us this candlestick over here, and you guys know what it is, right? It's a bearish candlestick with a small body and quite a long lower wick. And as I always say, it's carrying liquidity at that point. So what I'm saying, in other words, is that as much as I'm saying that the market's actually ready to move further up to those levels that I spoke about, just be careful, because what may possibly happen is because we have a lot of money stuck here, the market may actually push further down to this level again to give us that W structure or double bottom, as there's a lot of money stuck there, right? And I always say to you guys that the markets will go to where the money is trapped, right? So what else do we see in regards to the daily chart? On the daily chart, another thing that I also want to bring to your attention is that because we had a double top here, it also had a neckline at that point. And I always say, guys, that whenever we have these patterns, right, we want to see price breaking sufficiently below the neckline, heading back up to the neckline to test it, and at that point is where we may see price push further down, right? So as I said, guys, because we have this area over here that's still carrying a lot of liquidity, we may possibly see price push all the way to this level, which is, as I said, the neckline of this double top, and then from this level push further down to grab that liquidity at the bottom, and then only potentially, push further up. I hope you guys can see that, right? So what else do we see in regards to this chart? I don't see much really at this point in time. So what I will do now is just down to the let's have a look. I'll just head down to the H4 chart and let's see what's happening in regards to the H4 chart, right? And here we are on the H4 chart. I'm just gonna adjust my channel somewhat. There we go. And just to recap, guys, let me just zoom out a bit. Here we are on the H4 chart. And just to recap, remember I spoke about how we have this M structure, a double top, and it has a neckline at that level. And I said to you guys that because we have that candlestick over here that's still carrying a lot of liquidity, we may potentially see price move up to this level to test that neckline and then come back to this level to grab that liquidity. And then at this point is where we may potentially see the market move further up, in which case the market would give us a very nice double bottom, as you guys can see, right? But let's just zoom in and see what's happening in regards to the H4 chart, right? Also, remember, I had also spoken about how the market had actually given us this W structure, and I said price came to this level to grab the stop losses that are located here, and the anticipation at this point is for the market to continue to move further up, right? But anyway, let's just zoom in again and see what's happening here. On the H4 chart, guys, we can see that the market has also given us another inverted head and shoulders pattern, and it has a neckline more or less at that level. I hope you guys can see that. And whenever we have these patterns, just like with W formations, we want to see price closing sufficiently above the neckline, coming back to the neckline to give it a test, and then, as I always say, guys, at that point where the neckline is where we would look for those potential buy opportunities, especially, as I always say, if the neckline aligns with any key numbers that we have in regards to the Fibonacci retracement tool, right? So what I'm saying in other words is that should price from where it is come back to around this level, right? At that level is where I believe we should look for potential buy opportunities, right? Potential buy opportunities. But just remember that we have that candlestick over here. And as much as I'm saying that should price come back to this level, right, we should look for potential buy opportunities. We may potentially see the market move further down to grab that liquidity and then only potentially move further up,